too loud. 1, 2. It's fine. That's actually very true. But I think the only way is to just tell them to just maybe just reach out and let them know. I think I'll ask him to just make an announcement. Yeah, just since we're doing a live broadcast, because I don't imagine there's any other way. Yeah. So I'm thinking that he must. So when he makes an announcement, he can just say we're doing a live broadcast. So halfway, 1 minute. So we would like at least when the pizza present, and we give them a chance so that the other people who are watching live can actually. Right. Bye.
Good evening, everyone. If you may kindly make your way to the hall, please. We are about to start.
But another thing,
Thank you.
I'm just worried that. Yeah, you're gonna be mostly within the shot, but what's gonna be happening is that the live stream is gonna be the one that's.
Why are you whispering?
Oh, sorry, I was thinking that.
No.
Hey, you guys,
Go ahead. But not shout this time, just normal.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us for this evening. May all people come to the hall, please. I would like to get a start to the event now. Thank you.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. Because there's such a. I don't think there'll be it actually, I think it lags by. I think it lags by like 50 seconds. But yeah,
evening, everyone. Firstly, I would just like to thank everyone for being here this lovely evening. I think it's going to be a super, super amazing night where we're going to be filled with good, energetic students who will be ready to pitch you all their wonderful solutions to the very pertinent problem of sanitary dignity that faces us as a nation. Before I start, I would just like to start off by making a few announcements. So the first thing, the bathrooms are, if you leave, they'll be, the gentleman's bathroom will be on the left and the woman's bathroom will be further down as you walk along. I would also just like to ask the groups that will be presenting today that when you are speaking, please be mindful of the fact that we are live streaming. So if possible, please try to speak nice, clearly and loudly. And with regards to admin, those are the admin related announcements. Before I start, I would just like to firstly thank our esteemed panel of judges for being with us this evening. From the left, I would like to introduce Mr. Joshua Chigome. Mr. Joshua Chigome is from the Office of the Minister. He is the Minister's spokesperson, and we're very glad to have you here with us this evening. Next to Mr. Joshua Chigome is Ms. Sue Barnes. Ms. Sue Barnes, as many of you might know, is the Managing Director of Sue Subs, Pads and Pants, and we're very, very happy and delighted to have you amongst us this evening. Next to her, we have Emma Dix, who is the co-founder of Code Space Academy. I can personally attest to her brilliance as she does currently employ me right now, so I just like to say thank you so much Emma, for being here. And yeah, that's just a note for the networking event. They're always looking for interns, so that will be a good one to just kind of speak to. And then from there, we've got Jean Vessels, who is a partner here at Mazars. She's been working with the course over the years, and we're super happy and delighted to have you part of the judging panel. Sadly, Minister Shana Fernandez could not be here as she had to attend to an urgent cabinet meeting, but she did manage to send us a short little message that I'll read out before we start. So yeah, it goes something like this. Good evening. Final year Bachelor of Business Science students, strategic thinking staff, guest judges, and Mazars consultants. Poverty stalks not only the Western Cape, but the whole of South Africa. It is at the root of malnutrition, poor educational outcomes, the skills deficit and unemployment, disease, the loss of dignity, and even anger and violence. We have to take action against poverty, and we have to work together to do that. Each of us can make a difference in the communities we live in by choosing to do something sustainable that will help South Africa eradicate many of its social ills and ensure we each realize the ideal of living and a dignified life. I am currently attending a cabinet meeting and apologize that I could not attend tonight's event, but please do not let my absence prevent tonight's evening being a success. It brings joy to my heart that the top tertiary institution on the African continent is endorsing initiatives that seek to empower the girl child. As you are aware, we are in the process of launching a 23 million sanitary dignity project across the Western Cape. In South Africa, menstrual hygiene and the inability of girls to go to school when they are experiencing their periods is not just a sanitation issue, nor is it a physiological one. Rather, it is something that has wider socioeconomic implications with historical connotations, given where this country has come from. After extensive debate and deliberation, it was decided that a pilot project be conducted with a target group comprising of a cross-section of Q1 to Q5 schools, no fee-paying schools, and fee-charging schools, cross-referenced with 2016 to 2018 data on school attendance and retention rates of female learners in grades 4 to 12. Furthermore, it was decided that the project should prioritize schools in rural areas and include special needs schools. The Sanitary Dignity Program will thus consider a maximum of 222 schools and approximately 90,000 female learners for the project. Although there is still so much more to be done, this project will go a long way to restoring dignity to thousands of endangered female learners. The South African government has admitted that its policy position remains weak with regards to addressing sanitary dignity in the school environment. The numerous challenges associated with poor menstrual hygiene management has far-reaching implications. The need for and importance comprehensive and sustainable solutions to urgently tackle the dire state of menstrual health issues in South Africa, schools in particular, could not be greater. In light of today's event, I would like to thank all here today in joining our fight in providing sustainable solution in menstrual hygiene management in our province and country. I would also like to thank all the relevant stakeholders for making today possible. In my closing remarks, I would like us to remember the words of Tata Madiba. Our children are the rock on which our future will be built, our greatest asset as a nation. They will be the leaders of our country, the creators of our national wealth, who care for and protect our people. I thank you. At this point in time, I would like to call on the CEO of Mazars, Ms. Michelle Oakes, to come and give the introduction. If you could welcome her up to the stage, please.
Thank you, Robin, and once again, thank you and welcome to Mazars. It's really our absolute pleasure to host this event tonight. I'm very excited to see that we have already very good panel of judges here. Jean Bess is a partner of Mazars, and I just want to say thank you to Jonathan Watkins-Baker, who I'm sure you all know, who's facilitated the project and really from a Mazars perspective has been instrumental in making sure we can get to this point where we are tonight, where we can see the product of all the hard work that you have put in. For me, the topic this year that was chosen, I think, is absolutely one of the most critical issues we have, not just in South Africa, but probably globally, and something that myself, having a daughter, would hate to have to go through and know that my child was going to school with these kind of issues. So I'm really excited to see what you've been able to do. And just coming back to Mazars quickly, I'm sure you've been to our offices on a few occasions through the process of the project and met some of our other members of the partnership and management. In the back row, it looks like most of the Mazarians are sitting. I see them there. So they've come here tonight to come and watch and see what you're about, so don't be scared. They just going to listen and hear what you've achieved. Again, we're really proud to be associated with UCT to be doing this project because we really believe, number one, in entrepreneurship. And the project gives that the flair of having to apply your mind to something and to look at things from a completely different perspective. And we believe at Mazars, we have the slogan, navigating your success. And what that really means for us is that we as a business, we see ourselves as entrepreneurs as well in our journey. And we want to help everyone we deal with to take their journey and to take them to whatever success that they can achieve in their lives, in their business. Mazars operates in South Africa out of 6 major centers, and we're an international organization in over 80 countries. So we're a significant presence. Our roots come from France, but we're very strongly rooted here in South Africa now with over 1,000 people in our offices, and offering not just audit, tax and advisory, but many, many other services, and very, very proud, again, to be working with young people who are going to go out in the world and hopefully remember Mazars and hopefully come back to us in the later years to come and refer work to us or to engage again with us in the future. So good luck to those of you presenting tonight. I've seen some nervous faces, I've seen some nervous people, but I'm sure you're all going to do fantastically well, and wishing you all the best of luck.
Thank you so much for that. At this point in time, I would like to call over Sue Bonds to come and give us our keynote address. If you could all help me welcome Sue Bonds to the stage, please.
Hello everybody, sure, it's so amazing to be here. It's just feel like I know half of you because it's been a bit of a journey with you. I first just have to know, who is Alex? Alex, hello Alex. Emails and voice notes and well done. It's not going to affect your presentation though, but I just have to know who you are. It's been amazing engaging with all of you, and thank you. I think your questions have been very thought-provoking for me, and yeah, some of you have been on some good journeys. I'm interested to see what you all have to present. So when I was asked to talk, I thought, what can I talk about? What can I say? And then I thought, no, from all the questions that have been coming up, I'm just going to tell my story. Where it began, where I'm at, where we're going, and yeah, just be an awesome journey. So I'm Sue Barnes, and I'm married to the most amazing guy, Michael Barnes, and thank goodness he has learned to pack sanitary pads, because they're always all over our house. And I've got two amazing daughters, Sharis, who is 23, and Laken, who is 21. And they are both dyslexic, quite severely dyslexic, and had to go to a remedial school. And Laken, the youngest one, who 21, still says the pavilion, and she calls a guinea fowl a finnegull. So she's still a bit, confused, but dyslexic, and a family of her degree. So I'm really, really proud of her. And my eldest daughter is on to her second degree, being dyslexic. So I'm really excited that they have gone with their differences and achieved and grabbed life with both hands. So they were at Livingston Primary, and Laken came home one day with a letter asking us to donate sanitary pads and panties to the school, which was only about 8 or 9. So of course I'm so nosy, I went to the school, like, what's going on here? Why are we giving you sanitary pads? Like, my daughter's not menstruating yet. And it wasn't for the school, but their school was helping another organisation that had an afternoon mentor program with 3 schools in Amawati, which is an area just outside Durban. And they realised that these girls weren't coming to the afternoon program. So when they got to the bottom of it, it was because they didn't have sanitary pads. So they weren't going to school, so they weren't there for the afternoon program. So I just thought, no, could you imagine that impact on my daughters having dyslexia, missing a week of school a month, plus now having to catch up, and their difference of learning, it just freaked me out. And I studied fashion design, so I thought, no, I need to make something that's sustainable, something to keep these girls in school, and so they can achieve. I didn't want my girls to miss out on anything, so I don't see why other girls have to miss out. So I started playing around with fabrics and different designs and styles, and I first made a panty that had a built-in sanitary pad, but sorry guys, but when I was trying this out and taking it off, it was a little bit messy, so I thought, no, that's not going to be user-friendly. So I changed that design to have a panty that had a gusset where the pad slipped in and out. And then because of the shape of a gusset on a panty, it wasn't really easy to just slip the pad in and out of the gusset. And knowing that we have to address girls as young as 9, I thought, no, this is not going to work. If you don't give children, I know, firsthand, something that's user-friendly, they would not use it. So then I came up with the idea of the pad that attaches to the panty. So we've got the pad that attaches to the panty, or it attaches to itself. So the reason I wanted to have a panty was because the girls in the rural areas don't have underwear as well. They don't have underwear or pads, so we wanted to supply both to the girls so that they could have dignity. So so that was the major reason why I started and how I started the whole program. So then after I made these pads, I thought, okay, well now I'm going to go to this school and give it to these girls in these 3 schools. So we went along with the organisation that was running it. And when we were handing it out to the girls, they were saying, where does the blood come from? Does something get cut in you that it comes out? The questions were like, I just couldn't believe that girls that were menstruating didn't know what was going on in their bodies. So that's why I put together the whole education program. And we went back to those girls and we explained to them all about puberty, menstruation, sex, what it is. Yes, if you have sex, you can fall pregnant, you have reproductive organs in you. So it was a big learning curve for me. I had to go to my daughter's biology teacher and ask her to teach me the proper way to teach it to the girls at school. But it's been a lot of fun. So I just want to point out a few things about the washable sanitary pads. Obviously you all know they're washable, they're sustainable, they're eco-friendly. They disposable sanitary pads take between 500 and 800 years for one pad to decompose. I don't even think sanitary pads have been on the market that long for them to realise the impact that is going to happen in our environment, which is huge because of the chemicals and gels in them that just seep into the underground water tables. It's now affecting the water, and you can't directly say it's causing cancer, but the chemicals and gels in them, all sanitary wear, does cause cancer. It is a fact. So now for these 3 schools that we gave it to and we did the education program, I thought, oh great, job done, given it to the girls and time to move on. Then I started getting phone calls from schools in the area saying, oh, you've been to those schools, can you come to my school? I'm like, oh, no, I can't because I've self-funded all of this. Now where am I going to get the money from to make more, to go to more schools? And also, that wasn't my goal. I'm not about sanitary pads, I worked at my husband's business, we were designing boats and I wasn't doing sanitary pads. Then I was telling a friend of mine about this, and she said, no, well, her husband works at a bank. She's going to try and get me some funding. So she did. She got me funding, so I was able to go to more schools, and from there, it just started, the ball started rolling. And I started getting more funding and handing out more pads, and more funding and more pads. And now, 9 years later, we're still getting funding and still handing out pads. So it's just absolutely incredible. We've handed about over 160,000 packs to girls around South Africa. So we've reached a lot of girls, but, okay, the stats are all different. Everybody comes up with a different stat of how many girls there are in South Africa between the age of 9 and 19 that are menstruating. But I'm going to be in the middle and say there's 4 million girls. So 4 million girls, and we've only done 160,000, that's a lot of girls that are still needing sanitary pads, sanitary dignity, access to education, access to a normal life, getting out of bed every day and thinking, I can rock it, not, oh, I've got to stay inside and sit on a mattress because I'm bleeding. It's just, the impact is huge. So, I just want to explain a little bit about SUBS and Project Dignity. I don't know if you all understand and know why there's two entities. So when I started, we were manufacturing the sanitary pads and hand them out and raising funds, and so I started the PTY SUBS because that was the manufacturing side. I don't own the factory, I use a factory, can call it CMT. I am in the process now of starting to manufacture myself because our product line has just got quite diverse, which I'll tell you all about now. So, yeah, so where would I get to? SUBS, yes. So that's the PTY. And then when you fundraise, they always want the 18A certificate for tax rebate. So if you don't have your NPO, you can't give the tax relief. So I had to start the NPO, which works quite great together because you can raise the funds. I don't have to put any expenses through the NPO because I've got the PTY. So all the money that comes into the PTY, 100% gets donated to girls, which is really, really awesome. The product range, yes, it's expanded quite a lot. So we started with just the sanitary pads, thinking this is great. Then when I started having them and I used to pack everything at home, I had them all on my dining room table. My mom's looking at these, who's 80 by the way, and looking and thinking, oh, I can use these. I'm like, no mom, you really can't. You don't menstruate. No, she says, when I wake up in the morning, my bed is so full, I just can't get to the loo and I dribble. And if I was sleep in one of these, I can make it to the loo. So I'm like, oh my gosh, incontinence, of course. Now, of course, that's another huge market because incontinence is an everyday problem. It's not a once a month, a weekly problem. So that is a huge, huge market. We've also gone to panty liners. Yeah, different cultures. It's quite interesting how different cultures use different sanitary wear, what they use them for. So there are some cultures that will use a sanitary liner every day. So that's another market we've gone into. And maternity pads for after birth. We have a bigger pad for that. And now we're going into breast pads as well. So it's quite exciting. Product is growing, which is awesome. What have I written here? Oh yes, so now the sustainability of it as a business. So SUBS as a business really needs to sell the product to have an income, to overheads, make profit, whereas the NPO is just funding and distributing. So we have mainly been focusing on the fundraising to distribute because that touches everyone's heartstrings and that's easy to get the money. And, well, it used to be easy. Funding's drying up now. So, so we were mainly focusing on Project Dignity and the fundraising. But now we realize that there are so many people out there that actually want it, like it, it's healthier for your body, it's easier, you have them on you all the time, you're not impacting the environment. For us is great because it's, yeah, it ticks all our boxes. It's a health product. It's also, it's awesome, everyone's healthy. So it just seems to be an awesome fit for sales. So we have an e-commerce on our webpage, we have a shop. We edit clicks, I think most of you all know you've been buying them at clicks. So we edit clicks, we're now going into other retailers, which is great. And another big online store has approached us to stock our product, which is really awesome. So it just means the more we can sell, the more girls we can help, which is really, yeah, that's our heart. So female health products, what is the value of it in the country? It's over 7 billion a year. That's how much money it generates. I mean, that's a huge amount of money. you just think, and how many girls are not even buying it? So this is a huge, huge potential. So when I started, I didn't see lots of money. Just saw the girls' hearts and my poor children at school that were not going to attend school. So I think it's quite a great development for me. For personally, it's been quite a great, it's been a great story, and it's been great to see how the market has developed and how the market has changed from when I started to now over the 9 years. How what people were using and what they were advocating for then and what it is now. It's a completely different market. So what am I? So also my business. I used to just work at home and had one lady working for me, and I used to go out and do all the education programs in the schools myself. Then I realized that I'm an older white woman. Why do these young girls want to listen to me? So I got some lovely, lovely, very energetic facilitators. So they go out now to the schools. So we have a lovely team of girls going out and educating. So I'm left to run the factory and the marketing and the accounts and all things that I don't know what to do. But I'm learning, and it's fun because it's a learning curve, and that's life. So we've moved my offices now. We've got a nice little mini factory, and now I'm going to start a little production plant, getting more staff members. It's really great. I'm very happy with where it's going. So I think what I just want to close with you is just saying that, well, my experience from my life, it's been an amazing journey, that the talents that I was given, that I was able to use to benefit other people as well as my interests. So it's not like looking at what somebody else is doing and saying, oh, I want to do that, or oh, I want to be that. Look at yourself, who you are, where you come from. What do you like to do? What do you enjoy doing? What are you good at? Because if you're a good marketer, you're never going to be a good sanitary pad manufacturer. So be a good marketer. Just grab what you've given. Just glorify who's given you what you can do best. And you look at somebody else and you think, yeah, they're great and that's their dream and they're excelling. Where can you excel? What is your heart? What do you want to do? So I want to leave that message with you. What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? And not everybody's out there to help others, but just if each one person helps one person, could you imagine what this world would be? Incredible. So thank you all, and I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much, Sue, for that lovely address. I think it's always interesting to note that as individuals, it's always easier to kind of point out what it is that we don't want to do. Like right now, if people ask me what I want to do next year, I can tell you what I don't want to do. When it always comes down to what I want to do, that's a slightly harder question to ask. So thank you so much for that lovely message, and we really do appreciate it. Without further ado, we would like to start the business end of the evening. So I would like to call up the first group to please come and set up. They should know themselves, but I'm just going to check. Group BO4, you are up.
Can everyone hear us if we speak like this? Is this a bit better? Firstly, I'd just like to say I hope everyone made it safely from P3. I got a bit lost myself. Good evening, we are Pads for Africa. My name is Seb and I'll be explaining the product our solution uses and how people will be educated to use and clean it properly. Woxley will then be outlining a brief cost-benefit analysis and explain the financial benefits of our solution. Finally, Adam will wrap things up by discussing how it will all be funded, which will also show how our idea is sustainable and scalable. We only have 5 minutes, so we'll try to keep it brief. Our solution is to use and distribute Subs' reusable pads. This will be done through obtaining Subs' pads at a competitive price and distributing it to those in need at their schools. Subs' pads were chosen as they are very reasonably priced, can be used and reused for up to 5 years, and because they are of a high quality, making them both durable and comfy. To top it all off, Subs has committed to donate 100 pads to our venture. Lastly, our objectives and mission align directly with that of Subs, making them an ideal and strategic long-term partner in the making.
We conducted a cost-benefit analysis comparing the price of disposable pads, the menstrual cup, as well as Subs reusable pads. And Subs came out the superior choice both on an environmental friendliness level as well as on a cost analysis. Given that the average female has 12 menstrual cycles in a year, 5 days per cycle, the female will use 360 disposable pads in a given year, amounting to 1,800 pads in a 5-year period. The cost of this currently translates to roughly 1,957 rands and 50 cents. Pink cup menstrual cups, which also have a lifespan of 5 years, all last up to 12 hours. Therefore, we need to provide a girl with at least 2 of these. This would amount to a total cost of 498 rand for the 5-year period. Subs pads, which have a lifespan of 5 years, which is equal to a girl child's high school career, would be used. A girl would need 3 to 4 of these pads, thus we would distribute 8 of them to allow time for cleaning and drying, and etc. With each pad costing us 25 rand 85 cents, we would have an overall cost in the 5-year period, including the cost of washing, to be 320 rand and 80 cents. Using reusable pads will thus amount to an overall cost saving of 1,636 rand 70 cents, which is an 83.6% saving compared to disposable pads.
Hi everyone, my name is Adam, and I'm here to talk to you about how we're going to fund our organization. So we propose our organization will be funded through taking part in an annual artwork auction hosted by the Inkle Art Institute in conjunction with the Sembach Art Gallery. The Sembach Art Gallery has agreed to provide us with 5 canvases for our operation per year. These canvases will then take to the schools which we present to, and following the presentation we'll ask them to create a piece for us themed around what they've just learned. We believe this will act as a cool opportunity for them to solidify the information, almost like taking notes, as well as acting as an opportunity for boys and girls and everyone in the entire school kind of just to get together and get involved in this. We as a team will walk around and facilitate the conversation and really just try to drive it in the most moral and ethical direction as possible. And we believe this will help increase the effectiveness of our strategy in reducing the taboo nature behind female menstruation. So once they're done, they'll be collected and then taken to the Sembach Art Gallery awaiting the auction. The auctioneers believe these pieces could easily sell between 5 to 10,000 rand based on the clientele which they plan on attracting to this. So we went off the bottom number. So the minimum selling price on all of these things in this auction is 5,000 rand. For 5,000 rand, we can buy 193 pads. So in order to make our organization sustainable, what we've done is for every 193 pads that we distribute a canvas. And then once that canvas is sold at the end of that financial year, the following year we'll be able to buy another 193 pads, showing our organization is sustainable. And if these pieces maybe sell for more, then we can expand our operations provincially and maybe regionally.
Lastly, education. Another reason why Subs was selected is because of their access and use of educators who can not only explain how to use the Subs product efficiently, as well as help break the stigmas around periods, but they can do so in the students' home language, ensuring effective communication and understanding. This will also create a safe space for learning, asking questions and talking about the sensitive issue of periods. Boys will also be expected and forced to attend these, as they are usually the culprits behind these negative opinions and myths around menstrual cycles. Thank you. So it's time for questions now, I believe.
Sorry, I just missed, how many paintings did you say you wanted to sell a year?
We don't really have a set amount of the amount of paintings we want to do. It's all based on the amount that we want to distribute. So if we start at a small school, then we'll obviously sell less, and if we scale up to a bigger size, then we'll sell more paintings. That's kind of the idea. That answers your question.
How did you get the estimate of 5,000 to 10,000 for?
So, my mother's actually one of the people that work in this auction, and and they plan on, like, it's kind of this community uplift thing where they're getting all like local underprivileged artists, and they're setting a minimum price on everything of 5,000 rand. It's kind of like an idea of everything must sell. They really want to, the idea is to put a little bit more money into like young and upcoming artists, because I'm sure all of you know how hard it is to be a famous artist in this world. So it's just kind of a community giving it all back, and they're setting a minimum cut-off price for everything for 5,000 rand. So that's where that number came from.
Awesome. Well done. Well done, you guys. Just out of interest, I'm probably going to ask every group quite a few questions. I'm actually currently managing the Sanitary Dignity Project in the Western Cape, and I sit on the national task team for the Department of Women around creating policies around this. So don't mind me asking, don't feel under pressure. Just one quick question. Did you guys do any sort of research around the stigma and tabooness of menstrual hygiene management and using such a product in South Africa?
We didn't per se find the stigma attached to using this product. What our findings did yield was that firstly we looked at countries that were very similar to South Africa, as well as schools that we were initially targeting. And what we found was it was very contextual. So certain schools didn't have the same results as other schools, and that the environment in which learners found themselves and dictated how they responded to certain proposed solutions. So what the main point that we did find was that a lot of people, a lot of students, they weren't aware of something like the reusable pad. But the reason why we went with the reusable pad is we think that it's very similar to a disposable pad, and with a little bit of education coupled with pad, we believe that making the transition to this product will be a lot better, as we thought that giving a student a cup per se is very different, and it's not socially accepted as a norm. When a lot of people talk about menstruation, they don't talk about a cup. For example, I'm 22 years old, and I've heard of the cup for the first time in my life. And a lot of my friends and other groups have said the same thing. So we found that the reusable pad was the most, easy to help those transitions in terms of sustainability.
Just one last question. Did you guys, by any chance, take a look at current legislation around sanitary pads?
No, we didn't. We didn't look at any legislation.
So a company called Hawk Eyewear, it's a golfing sunglasses brand. We contacted them, and they've got a whole fleet of delivery vehicles, which they pretty much use once a month. And they've got all these delivery team and everything, and they were very excited to get involved in this. They've agreed to cover all of our distribution, transportation, oh yeah, as part of their like social responsibility.
And how do you stop it just sitting in the secretary's office? Like what happens once they've dropped off at the school reception?
how it works is we will hand them out when we're doing our presentation. So like following the presentation and like the artwork and everything, we will hand them out. So they're not going to really be dropping them off. They're more going to be transporting us there, transporting us back. I think that answers your question.
Thank you so much. Well done to BO4. I would like to call up the next group that will be presenting, which will be C14. Just as a quick announcement, I'll probably do a better job of directing the questions, but the judge will ask the initial questions, and then if they are done, and then I will direct questions to the floor. Thank you.
Could I ask you something? Do you have multiple sheets that we can use? One ribbon.
Oh,
Hello, good evening, everybody. Today we'll be presenting sanitary dignity, which we really believe will help solve the period poverty problem in South Africa. So, what is wrong? Now, a lot has been said by Susan, but we'd just like to point to a survey that we did for underprivileged schoolgirls in South Africa, in Cape Town. We found some very disturbing quotes, such as when girls are on their period, they say you have a smell on you, or they say periods are seen as very filthy. So the aim of the project is to essentially, through public and private funding, we aim to address the period poverty through the provision of reusable pads, as well as a product that can be used to wash the reusable pads. And we're also going to provide them with educational material, specifically in quintiles 1, 2, 3 in Cape Town. Now, this will be the structure of the presentation. Because of time constraints, we will not be discussing distribution and funding. However, we are more than welcome to talk about it in the discussion time. So, of course, the most important part of the project, the product, which Lindsay will talk to you through.
Okay, so when we were looking at alternatives for the disposable pads, we looked at the menstrual cup and the reusable pads, and we decided to go with the reusable pads because they are cheaper than the cup, and they are more convenient and easier to use. There's less need to educate students about how to use the reusable pad. And we want to use that with the flow washing, which Carlton will tell you guys about.
Perfect. So then to basically try and address the inadequacies in terms of water and sanitation infrastructure, we identified the flow washing machine as a way in which sanitary pads could be washed and stored and then also transported. It's very simple and uses about half as much washing detergent and water as the traditional washing method would take. An approximate cost that was given by the designers of the flow washing product is around 40 rand per washing device, and it also doubles up as a drying mechanism as well as a washing machine. And then I'm going to pass across to Tiana for the educational.
Thank you. Okay, so I'd like to first thank Sue because research that she did for Project Dignity to come up with this. So what our main idea was this educational brochure, which we actually, this is a mock-up version that we created. We used facts from the book called What's Going On with My Body by Usborne. So we used the facts from them and then we just made it more applicable to our project by using reusable pads instead of disposable pads, and more South African, with the water sanitation, they had recommended baths and things like that, so we took that out. But that is our main thing that we're going to distribute. And other forms that we have researched, which we weren't going to go ahead, but there are options, are to do workshops, media, and incorporation of menstruation education in the actual school curriculum. So now Liam will talk to you about the triple bottom line.
Okay, so the most important aspect we think was the people. So as Sammy mentioned, we'll be targeting schoolgirls in the first, second, and third quintiles. In terms of the flow product, each girl will be receiving 2 reusable pads for the flow product, which will last them for 5 years. This will represent money saved for these girls, as they will no longer have to purchase these pads. In terms of hygiene, doing some research online, we found some disturbing quotes where girls were having to use old clothes, rags, leaves, and in some extreme cases, even sawdust to stop the bleeding, which is not okay. This will also help hopefully prevent absenteeism for schoolgirls, and as they are falling behind boys in terms of education. For the planet, all products are reusable. As Sue mentioned, reusable pads are better for the environment and they dispose of less. And for profit, because we are a non-profit organization, there is no outright profit motive, and money will be obtained from government and corporate sponsorships.
Due to time constraint, I just want to summarize everything that we have talked about. So how can a girl benefit from our product? It all starts with a girl who will go to a presentation which we will give at their respective schools. They'll learn about menstruation. They'll be given then a package which contains the products as well as the education material. When they get the period, they can then use the reusable pad. There will be a flow washing product which will be used to wash one while the other one is being used. And then lastly, we just want to show that the period is not that bad, and therefore this is how a girl can benefit from the product. Thank you very much. Sure.
Cool, so I've just got 2 questions. First and foremost, similarity to the other group, did you look at current legislation around menstrual hygiene products?
I think Carlton would be more qualified in speaking about that.
So in terms of the actual legislation relating to products themselves, no. But in terms of provision, yes. So we looked at obviously the sanitary dignity policy framework, and then tried to adapt our plan to run.
And then just the second question I have. So I know you mentioned that during your presentation that distribution is not as important as your focus on the product. Why would you say that? Just out of interest.
Well, because that will take quite a long time to talk about, and we want to make sure we cover everything completely in the presentation, but we can speak about distribution if you want us to do.
Okay, so for distribution, we're going to use the clicks pads. So we estimated that there'd be a clicks within every 15-kilometer radius from the schools. That was like our average. So we got a cost for that distance per package. And the cost was 13 cents per package. So the package includes 2 reusable pads, the flow washing, and the educational booklet. So that was our estimate. We made a few judgments, and then we took like delivery vehicles, cost per kilometer, and things like that, running costs. And that was our estimated cost to deliver, including petrol, including maintaining the car.
So did you say 13 cents?
Yes.
To deliver the pads?
Yes, just delivery. So that's that's picking up the pad from the clips, loading it into the delivery vehicle, and then dropping it off at the school, assuming there's a clicks within 15 kilometers.
So that's your that's your delivery cost per pad. So that's not the cost of the pads, or
okay. Yeah. That's per pad, not cost per delivery.
Yeah. And then also, sorry, I just wanted to know, how are you going to fund this project?
So we don't have any like, complete answers as of yet, but in terms of looking at both public and private sort of funding, we noticed that there has been a move within the public realm towards wanting to almost combat period poverty within South Africa. So we're seeing things like NSFAS allocating a monthly allowance to sanitary products. We see things like the Departments of Women, Health, and then also Education also showing some sort of interest in terms of raising their budgetary allocations. And then on top of that, there's also different ways in which sponsorships can be bid for, and also
Just one last critical question. So you have mentioned that you're working at quintile 1 to 3 schools, which are high priority schools because of the poorest of the poor and our most vulnerable female learners in the country and in the province. With regards to delivery, did you take into consideration the fact that this is quite a rare resource within the particular environment that you're working in? And so are there any security mechanisms around ensuring that the resource actually gets to the respective girl child that it's aimed at?
Thank you very much for mentioning that. So we do, like you said, we wanted to help. If we are going to start a project, we want to help the people in need the most before we help the rest. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you, we haven't really thought about that, although we do have a complete data set of the geographical location, the contact number of every single school from quintile 1 to quintile 5. And I think in order to protect, let's say, vehicle or the product safety, I think it's just the precaution that we're going to take as everyday living in South Africa. I think that's just some of the things that we're going to consider, or whatever the situation and whatever project we'll be doing, including doing the presentation in the school as well as distributing the products to the children. But thank you for bringing it up. I think that's definitely another area that we can definitely look more into. Yeah.
Sure. So just to clarify that I'm understanding you correctly, are you going to source your product from clicks? Okay. How would you control stock levels? I mean, how much stock does clicks have in stock? I haven't seen it, to be honest. I haven't looked, but I mean, it's something for you to consider. How many schools are you considering targeting as well? I mean, linked to the availability of the stock. I think that's really my question.
So, in fact, we have another flow chart that we didn't include. This flow chart is for how a girl can benefit from our project, but we have another flow chart that goes from how we get funding all the way until how we're going to distribute product to the girls. So that's more about the supply management side. So, like Carlton said, we are going to seek our funding from both private as well as public school. One of the a big part of our funding, which we imagine, would be the corporate partnership who will sponsor us and then name a specific school, or just tell us to provide for a specific school, which then we get a certain amount of money according to the funding, and then we will know exactly how many pads we will have to buy, and then we will then contact the school. So it won't be like we'll buy the pads from clicks as many as possible. It will be more like we have a plan in the first place, and then we'll contact clicks, which will talk with me. Yeah.
Okay. Just to add quickly to that, we wanted to actually partner with clicks, but we couldn't get in touch with them. So that's how we would maybe maintain. Okay. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you so much for that. Please may the next group come up, please.
evening, everyone. Our idea stems from wanting to make girls feel beautiful and confident. So as you've seen tonight, there are already so many South African organizations which are already geared towards product distribution and education. Interestingly enough, a study was done in 2016 by the University of Chicago, which looked at the impact of these initiatives in South Africa. And what they found was that whilst it does increase awareness and many girls were able to go to school when they were on their period, the biggest issue was that girls still felt very shy and embarrassed about their periods, and it was very much a taboo topic. No organization has made this their mandate. So looking back when I was younger, I remember sitting with my mum reading an illustrated book, and this really just was a conversation starter and made me less shy to speak about my period. So with that being said, our initiative is to educate and instill confidence in girls through a comic book.
A lot of these girls are brought up believing that the periods are a curse, and we want to break that stigma. We want to break that train of thinking with our very own superhero, Mighty Mukhle. Mighty Mukhle is there to instill confidence in girls, and it's a role model for them to look up to. Her name directly means beautiful and mighty, and that's what we want every young girl to be. She teaches them how to pragmatically deal with their periods, but more importantly, how to be confident in difficult situations that may arise. Something we'd like to point out, one message, is when the thieves taunt her about being on her period and she shrugs it off like it's nothing. We want these young girls to adopt that same frame of thinking when approached with bullies. This comic book is visual, it's approachable for young girls to pick up and read in their spare time. It can easily be translated into any language, and that's why we believe it will be a success.
Sweet. So with regards to distribution, we thought it was quite an important one. We've reached agreements with both the Invisible Crown and SIBS pads. The distribution of our comic book will be done throughout the Western Cape and South Africa. This will be mutually beneficial, as these companies are already in the realms of distributing sanitary wear. Now, how this partnership becomes beneficial is because we're kind of spreading how this is not just something that comes every month and you should do, but this is something that girls should feel confident about doing, and they should be proud about it. So we're kind of pushing the product being proud, and they're kind of helping us spread the product.
With regards to the printing will be undertaken by Top Copy. And one of the biggest considerations that we undertook is that instead of having one big bulk print of the comic books, we'd opt for a monthly flow of comic book production. This would enable us to form a strong relationship with Top Copy, which would ensure the continuity of the project as well as capacity for scalability. In terms of the comic book itself, it will be printed on a double-sided A4 piece of paper. Then that will then be folded and stapled into an A6 booklet, which will be facilitated by Top Copy for R150. And as mentioned above, or before, the monthly demand of printing will ensure that our cash flow will also be stable and that scalability will be possible.
So for marketing and exposure, we have chosen 3 avenues of advertising, namely social media, radio platforms, and celebrity ambassadors. With regards to the radio platforms, we have reached an agreement with Smile FM, where they have invited us in to come and speak about the issue and the stigma, and how our initiative is going to break this stigma. Finally, our celebrity ambassador at this stage is Patty Munro, and she has agreed to join us at our meeting with Smile FM.
There are 4 main forms of financing. 1, the seed funding that we will get from Azaz. 2, the GoFundMe account whose links will be available on Smile FM's website, and exposure will be gained from the radio platforms. 3, schools. We have reached agreements with schools across South Africa. So far it's only been 2 schools. One in called Westfield Girls High, and they have about 1,000 pupils, and they will raise annual fundraisers for this. And lastly, we have reached an agreement with the Protea Cape Town bookstore, where they'll ask customers at the end of their purchase if they would like to donate a specific amount to our cause.
In the long term, the foundation is in place for our value proposition to benefit all organizations involved. organizations will be able to gain access to the copy and to the comic book and print. And ideally, for a sustainable future.
Well done, guys. So I think my first comment is that what you did is you were able to identify an actual pain point and a place where you could uniquely add value in an ecosystem where there are already players. So congrats. This is the first one. And then secondly, speaking about really super pragmatic business issues like cash flow and production, how is that actually going to happen? It sounded realistic. And because relative to the cost of the product that you're actually selling, this comic book, your sort of ideas for generating revenue seem realistic to be able to roll this out. So from my point of view, I suppose my comment is well done for actually identifying a problem that existed in this ecosystem, considering we actually have players. So you're sort of a marketing channel in some ways for the uptake of whether it's a menstrual cup or these things you're adding to that. I don't know.
Okay, so I just want to understand this. So while, for example, subs pads are going to the schools distributing the packs, you're wanting us to distribute your magazines.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's the benefit for the stakeholders?
So essentially, you guys are already educating the young girls, but you know, a comic book is something tangible, something that they can pick up at any time when they're lost or distraught, something they can refer to in their own private time and hold on to. And that's really the benefits. It goes beyond just one talk. And
are you calling it the subs educational booklet?
No, we're not, because we want it to be. And the reason for that is we want any and every organization that are all trying to fight the same cause to be able to adopt our cartoon booklet.
We want to make it a positive thing. There's like a lot of work that's being done to spread awareness around the issue, but nothing's really done to sort of uplift it and make it a positive thing. It's almost like something that people are still trying to resist and still trying to like find a solution to rather than making it a positive thing.
I think it's awesome because there is a magazine out called Menstrupedia from India, which is really incredible. Yeah, we have to buy them from them if we want to distribute them. So you giving is a good thing, but it's got to be some benefit for me to want to distribute your book.
So we believe that it will enhance the products that you do give the girls. So it would break that stigma for them to use, because it's one thing having a product, but it's also another thing to break the stigma and actually uplift them and instill that confidence. So that's the area that we want to tackle. That's the area we think is.
So just, I think it's great. What this book is really good, and it is incredible. But just from saying it from the outside, is that it's like Sub's example. We're already going to the schools educating. So yes, we would distribute your booklet if we had our name on it. But there are lots of other ways you can get your book out. There's clinics. There are, yeah. Just thinking that there's a much bigger picture here than just going to the schools to distribute your education. You could, yeah, as I said, clinics. There's.
And there's also it will be able to convert it to a PDF and email it to any organization. So that's the actual end goal, isn't that it's self-sustaining. So.
Yeah, you touched on the taboo, which is awesome because it is a big taboo. So yeah, I like your idea. It's great.
I mean, I can imagine that you're essentially, if you kind of push this thing, you could be reducing one of the most expensive parts, which is the marketing and distribution. Yeah. So, but by allowing schools to be requesting and taking ownership over more of this through the marketing campaign. So for instance, I mean, I would have taken you ambassador and actually had someone become this person.
It is designed around Patty Monroe. If you Google her, she's a singer-songwriter from Cape Town, and she has like similar hair.
So let her be that person that's like on the radio telling schools to be immediately phoning these guys and doing the thing. Yeah. For me, I'm looking at you not actually as a comic book, but the fact that you're essentially pitching yourself as a marketing component, which would hopefully be more.
Awesome, well done. It's quite cool that you guys took a completely different angle looking at the education component. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of tenders, I've done a remarkable amount of research on this. Without the education, it doesn't matter producing a product at the end of the day. So, I mean, as government, this is a great solution to actually inevitably getting girls to use the product in a sustainable way. So well done, very different. And then just one quick question. Does your education pamphlet also look at targeting parents and teachers and males? And how does it look at doing that, if it does?
I think the nature of the comic book, or whatever we're calling it, the book, does target that. It is a conversation starter. You can, have it in a classroom. You can keep it in a school library, and it's not really just for women to read. I think men can read it as well, and so I think it does touch on all of that.
Just one quick note. I don't know if you're aware. Through studies I've done, only 84% of female learners are not taught about menstruation by their parents. So it's so culturally taboo. That's why the cycle ends up getting perpetuated, is because there's no education from the parents and so on. And the first time that female learners end up learning about it is when they actually end up having their periods.
And that's why it was so important for us to be able to have something to take home, because they're obviously not getting the support at home. So that's where this book comes in.
Thank you so much. Please may the next group come up and present.
Suzanne perfectly touched on earlier, there is an estimated 4 million girls aged 9 to 19 that attend no-fees South African schools, with a significant number of these young women missing 5 days per school month during their menstrual cycle. This is due to the unaffordability of current sanitary wear for these young women and the social stigmatism they face surrounding their menstrual cycle, leading to a decrease in self-confidence, school attendance, and it's a decrease in overall academic performance. Bettering Females Forever, BFF, aims to provide medical-grade silicone menstrual cups that will last up to 10 years and can be used for 12 hours consecutively. That is a full school day. Manufactured through the possible partnership with the printing company graphic supply world. The totality of our product will cost 65 Rand. The menstrual cups will be delivered inside a pouch, produced by the Longstreet-based company ATG Ikasi Handbags, who have already confirmed that they can manufacture these pouches for us. Inside the pouch, and alongside the menstrual cup, will be a small pamphlet with user-friendly instructions regarding the insertion methodology for our menstrual cup.
Furthermore, the cup contains no harmful substances, does not need to be disposed of, and is cleaned far easier than other reusable sanitary products. In relation to the planet, our cups are extremely eco-friendly due to their reusable nature and significant lifespan. The cups are also easily sanitized. They just need to be sanitized using boiling water, meaning no harmful chemicals need to be used. Thus, these cups will decrease the usage of non-reusable sanitary pads and harmful cleaning materials, which cause a huge burden on the environment. Studies have found that on average, most girls start menstruating between the ages of 10 and 15. Thus, we will be looking to provide girls from grade 8 to grade 12 with our kits. The first school that we aim to help is Fezeke Secondary School located in Gugulethu. They have approximately 230 girls, meaning we need about 240 kits to start. Due to the long-lasting nature of our kits, we will only need to provide the girls a kit once in their schooling career. So in each subsequent year, we will only need to provide the incoming grade 8s. We will also provide the school with a few extra kits to account for girls not in grade 8s who do not have for other reasons. This strategy of only giving grade 8s and learners who don't have kits makes a lot less unwanted wastage. Thus, the strategy above is the most effective way to ensure that no unnecessary wastage occurs, yet still ensure that the school does not feel abandoned after we make the large initial donation. The strategy helps us to build long-lasting relationship with the schools and ensure that every girl in the school has a kit. BFF will not leave any schools behind after we have supported them, which is a fundamental part of our business plan and medium to long-term goals. Before we take on a new school, we will ensure that we provide BFF kits to all grade 8 schools that we have previously been to. We will also collect and deliver the kits to schools on our own at first. As operations expand, we realize, however, that this will become unsustainable. Nathan Lazarus, CEO of RAM Couriers, has indicated his willingness to potentially form a partnership and deliver products at cost for us.
However, supplying girls with the cups is only half the battle won. Actually getting them to use the cups is the other half. Thus, we have created numerous strategies to increase the adoption rate and reduce the negative stigma surrounding menstruation. We have cool influencers such as Casper Lee that are keen to be a part of this. Hopefully someone on the panel would like to ask us about them. One of our differentiating factors is that we provide analytics to quantitatively measure if we are creating value. Fezeke has agreed to give us monthly updates on the female absentee. We will then compare them to prior year female absentees, and if the rate drops, we know that we are actually making a material difference. If we do make a meaningful impact, then Pick n Pay has agreed to partner with us and fund most of our operations into the foreseeable future. Yeah, we're sustainable, fam. The vision will never die. We also plan to register as a PBO to incentivize more companies to partner with us, so that we aren't totally just dependent upon Pick n Pay. Our strategy is super realistic. The cost to implement the strategy is only 15,600 Rand. This means we can actually implement it with the seed funding. We understand that you're not just investing in our strategy, because planning is one thing, but execution is everything. So I guess you're actually investing in us, and whether you think we'll be able to reach our vision. Our team is well diversified, with everyone bringing something unique to the table. We trust one another, but most importantly, we motivate one another. And when things aren't going as smoothly as they're supposed to be, believe me, there's at least one person in the team with a spark of positivity that reminds us how important our mission is.
Because at the end of the day, we are all one. And in order to truly celebrate our Rainbow Nation, every single person, no matter what race, age, gender, we need to be together. It's time to stand together, end this poverty cycle. It's time to stand with us, and we need you, and you.
Hi. I just want to ask you, where were you getting your cup from?
So we...
Is it locally sourced? Is it from international?
Cape Town. Yes.
Is it manufactured in Cape Town?
Yes.
And what grade silicone is it?
So it's medical
Medical
grade.
grade.
Medical grade silicone. We've done a lot of research and we understand that this is a very new product. I mean, it's
takes a while. It takes a while for something like that.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's an incredible innovation, and we really hope that something like this will become more popular because, first of all, it lasts far longer than reusable pads. I know there's a lot of reusable pad lovers in the room. I'm so sorry, but we just think, you know, what we can do, we're going to use a 3D printing company like GSW, and they're willing, at the moment, obviously this is still small scale, they're going to create 3D molds. From there, we will use medical grade silicone to create the actual cups, and they cost about 65 rand, including the pouches, to create. And that is also where we were blown away, because we have lots of funders like Pick and Pay. We've reached out to people, and Pick and Pay used to be with a reusable pad company, and they really, unfortunately fell through, but they're looking for another solution. And specifically, they stressed to us the importance that they need something that is far longer as like a menstruation cup.
So for me, dignity is a choice. So girls can choose what they want to use, and we want to give girls a sustainable solution. So either the cup or the washable pad. But how are you going to educate these girls that they need to use the cup? Because that is the biggest problem with the taboo and getting the girls. And then my next question to you is, okay, you say it lasts 12 hours. Some girls have a heavy flow and need to change it before 12 hours. How are they going to change it at schools that don't have bathrooms?
So onto the education question first. We decided that we're going to have two presentations when we hand over the first set of menstrual cups. With the two presentations, the first presentation will be to the entire school, including male students, female students, and all the teachers. And the reason for this is, as many people have mentioned already, is because we want to reduce the stigma that is around the menstruation process. And I think what's vitally important about that is to educate males just as much as females. Because as girls who go to school, males that don't understand what's going on may tease another student. So it's very important for us to teach them and explain to them the whole process. And the second presentation we will give is to the female teachers and to the female students with our little brochures that we have, and explaining to them how they should use the menstrual cups, why it's so important for them to use that particular cup, how important it is for them to keep the hygiene around it, the negative effect of not having it being very hygienic, and also a very important thing that we thought of and that we think is needed in all of these schools is to have support groups that are headed by senior students that have more experience in this matter, as well as teachers, female teachers, to help these female individuals if they have problems, if they need help, if they need advice, and just to explain to them if they don't understand necessarily how to use the menstrual cup, they can get some advice from somebody that's older than them to sort of help them through that process.
I'd like to answer your question.
So, straight up honest with you, we haven't actually thought of that problem here. But as I was sitting, now, I thought about it, literally right now. So this is like market research will come, don't stress. As we scale, market research will come. So I was thinking that because we also distributing a pouch with it, maybe we can distribute some sort of sanitary, like a hand sanitizer or something like that within the pouch so that they can clean it as well if they need to. And maybe distribute monthly to the schools. But we'll target specific schools that don't have bathrooms. So it wouldn't be like a waste, we'd only give that to schools that don't have bathrooms. Yeah.
Just one quick thing about that was with regards to teachers. We did have something around that was if people have emergencies, because as girls we do know it happens unfortunately, and it is very embarrassing. So we thought what we could do is educate the teachers to basically have like an emergency situation where they have to have even a water bottle ready to help and sort it out.
Go ahead, sorry.
So I just have a burning question. I want to know, what is your unique value add in terms of all the other menstrual cup? Are you guys manufacturing, or is it just off the strength of your partnerships and the lower production costs? So what is your unique value add in terms of all the other menstrual cups?
We are manufacturing from our process. As you can see, it costs 65 rand in total to make.
Considerably lower than
That's much considerably lower. Yeah, it's
But would it be essentially our production are doing much better.
That's more. That's still innovation to a certain extent, though.
No, no,
Yeah.
I just want to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so sir, I'm gonna have to cut
Can I please just ask?
Yeah.
You have
Just two questions, three.
I
mean, ironically,
I have to try to keep it fair for all the others.
I mean, I got my job by starting a project like this 4 years ago. That's how I ended up doing a 57,000 word thesis. It all started with doing a Marine Cup project. And 65 Rand is remarkably competitive. The one that I used was 170 Rand with the pamphlets, including with the facilitators to be ethical. So well done, that's really cost effective. Just out of interest, one thing is, did you do quite a lot of research around the stigma and tabooness at schools? Because what I found is, number one, I only had a 30% success rate out of the 400 girls that were using the Moon Cup, because of the lack of education around the fact that lots of girls are scared to put the Moon Cup and tampons in their vaginas. They're under the impression that it breaks their virginity. So that is one massive barrier as opposed to using washables and reusables, although it is way more sustainable. So
Support clubs and monthly feedback. I think that was our final and education when we first distributed. Sorry, I know we're out of time, so that's what
Yeah.
So I can say.
Cool. Thanks so much. Cool. If I could kindly call upon the next group to come up and present, please.
We stand here all dressed in black to condemn acts of gender-based violence. When we were brought this task, 5 out of 6 of us hadn't even heard what period poverty was. In an age where stigmas against women are being challenged, the need to address period poverty is pivotal in female empowerment. Removing the social and financial barriers gives each female scholar an equal opportunity to progress academically. Despite the current interventions, the core issue remains. Not enough girls can access sustainable sanitary products. Having interviewed Sue from SubsPads Project Dignity, their biggest problem remains funding. In response, we came up with the idea of a national marketing campaign called #Period, which will be launched with Woolworths stores. This involves selling reusable shopping bags like the one you see here today, where parts of the proceeds from the bag sales are donated to SubsPads to provide reusable sanitary products to South African female scholars.
At its core, our strategy involves linking Woolworths, my school, and SubsPads together with the intention of creating a partnership that will unlock value through raising funds via 2 revenue streams. After much thought, we decided that Woolworths would be the retailer of our choice, as we drew inspiration from the success of their previous campaigns and saw the potential synergies of such a partnership due to SubsPads already being a beneficiary of my school. Furthermore, after reading about Woolworths banning the sale of plastic bags this past April, the timing of the introduction of the #Period shoppers made further strategic sense from both an environmental and economical perspective and added to the potential viability of our campaign. With reference to the design of the bag, this just being a prototype, we wanted to stay true to the minimal aesthetic of Woolworths. We have strategically chosen to stay away from the graphics of sanitary products because we recognize that displaying such themed items in a food store is not considered appealing. The aim is to raise awareness of period poverty and get the message across in a dignified and sensitive fashion. As you can see, an educational tag and 2 QR codes have been attached, one providing access to the SubsPads website and the other to the My School Change My Beneficiary site. The tag is there not only to thank customers for their contribution and the impact that they have made in empowering a South African female, but to also educate customers with regards to the issues of period poverty.
Our solution has been structured into 2 revenue streams, one being proceeds raised and donated through Woolworths bag sales, and the other being the increase in My School income as a result of the campaign. To model this, we used the Save the Rhino campaign as a benchmark, where we assumed that consumers would at least be as responsive as they were during that campaign period. This assumption allowed us to use the Save the Rhino campaign's annual growth rates to model the funds generation for our campaign, for both the number of increased My School beneficiaries and bags sold. For every bag sold at 40 Rand by Woolworths, 13 Rand is to be donated to subs that will contribute to the provision of reusable pads. From our projections, these revenue streams will generate 2.6 million Rand, which will be converted into over 113,000 reusable pads over the 4-year campaign period, in turn keeping 28,000 girls in school even when they're on their period. Considering the future introduction of a SABS standard on reusable pads, this campaign can also be a springboard for SubsPads to secure government funding with regards to the issue at hand, as reusable pads are a more sustainable solution than disposable pads.
We solve 4 key areas of failure of period poverty campaigns by providing a product that is renewable and financially cheaper, a charity campaign that is sustainable and reaches South Africans who can make a difference, a distribution network that is scalable to a nationwide level, and a striking education campaign to make the public aware of all the issues. To help Woolworths and SubsPads accomplish the reduction in the number of female learners missing school due to their periods. While we might sell a humble bag, what people are buying into extends much deeper. When you accept the campaign and even purchase a single bag, you are buying into our vision of a new South Africa. A South Africa where schoolgirls do not have to miss school due to a natural occurrence. A South Africa where men and women are equal. With this project, the main cost would be our time in getting the key partnerships we desire to make our dream a reality. We humbly ask Nazaz to help us secure these 2 key partnerships and guide us in the implementation of our grand vision. We are ready. Are you? Let's talk about it. #period.
Okay, so honestly this really excites me. Because being on the My School card, yeah, the biggest issue is to get people to actually make subs, well, to put us as a beneficiary. So yes, people say, yeah, we'll do it, but then do they actually do it? So scanning it is actually quite an awesome idea. Have you spoken to us about this at all?
So we attempted to...
Yeah, so we did attempt to reach out to Woolworths, but we didn't receive a response. And then Sarah got a response from Pick n Pay. So basically we're hoping that with Mazaz's help that we could get into the Woolworths stores and pitch to them. And then if that doesn't work, we're definitely open to looking at other retailers, because at the end of the day, we're trying to solve the issue.
Okay, so you are on the side of securing the funding, which is obviously what you originally spoke to me about. So the distribution, is that staying through subs? I'm just saying hypothetically.
Okay. So in terms of the distribution, yes, it would still go through subs, but we're hoping with the seed funding, we know that you donate a maximum of 10,000 packs, or the most you've ever donated before is 10,000 packs a year. So we were wondering with the seed money we might be able to, if you would need, because if we ran the campaign, it would mean that more than 10,000 packs would need to be donated. So we would hopefully use the seed money to either hire someone who can help or aid in that distribution. Furthermore, Shabed might want to speak on Woolworths.
So we understand that your reach is kind of limited at the moment.
which is why my school would be a huge partner. Currently, my school has about 9,000 schools that they deal with, and at these schools, I'm sure a few of them would actually experience the problems, and by leveraging off that network, we can help reduce the cost of distributing and increase your scale to these harder to reach areas.
So I just want to know, did you find out what quintile these 9,000 schools are? Do you know it or no? Okay.
No,
It's
no.
fine, it's fine.
Well done, guys. You clearly put a lot of effort into thinking this through, and so the same comment as before, like, but sort of even more so identifying a very, very clear value add that speaks to existing players, which is fantastic. So I'm just thinking, so your strategy of allowing a customer to switch their My School beneficiary, that's great, but Woolies would be, if I'm the decision maker in Woolies, now I can't now sell your bags, which are going to take away from the Rhino project. You know, there's that, your product inherently, it would be difficult to pass. How have you thought about that, and what is your solution there?
The Rhino project no longer runs.
No. So imagine, so I can't put a product in that benefits, that is pulling beneficiaries from one to another.
Okay, yes. I think my school has a few beneficiaries, so inherently you can only have 3 that are nominated at a time. So, for example, you might have 5 that you really resonate with, but you have to choose 3 at the end of the day. Obviously, that's a my school decision, that they only want you to pick your 3 highest beneficiaries. So, I'm not sure that we're taking away from anyone else's share of the pie, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, they might need to have bags for each cause. Like, have you thought about that you might actually need to be the marketing, not only for this, but you might need to have one bag so the hashtag rhinos are important, or hashtag, you know, like, okay. You might, because otherwise Woolies would struggle to be able to pass that actually. Because as soon as you go pitch, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the issue.
Just with regards to female empowerment being such a topical issue in the country at the moment.
So are rhinos.
Yes, I know, but of late.
They believe in each of their causes.
No, I 100% agree with you, but of late, it's definitely been a topical issue, so it would provide more reason for Woolworths and their marketing team to advocate such a campaign and introduction of such a campaign into their stores, because then they're telling their customers that we're on board with this, that we recognize this from a holistic female empowerment perspective.
Also, when we're going to be running the campaign, it would be like during Women's Month. So that would be more.
They can retail other bags in the other months.
Yeah, we're happy to share by.
Guys, I love your bags. You're pitching a lot of your ideas. A lot of your project is centered around my school, Woolies. You haven't yet pitched Woolies. Emma's concerns, I think, is quite valid. Say, for example, Woolies doesn't come to the party. What is your plan B?
Yes, so I spoke to that earlier. So ultimately, our goal is to get funding to subs. So if Woolworths closes their doors on us, we would be open then to adapting our campaign to work with another retailer, because we recognize the reach that a retailer has in South Africa, and from a consumer perspective, that's where people are. That's where people go, they shop, they spend some part of their day in a retailer. So it's the place where people can visually see the campaign coming to life, and we think that's in a retailer. So if Woolworths says no, we're definitely interested in approaching someone else.
Thank you so much for that. And I would like to call upon our last group for the evening to come and present.
Tundle. She is 13 years old and attends one of South Africa's secondary schools. This month, when she got her period, her family couldn't afford to buy her any feminine hygiene products. So, out of sheer desperation, she wrapped some sand in a cloth and used that instead. When she got to school, the blood leaked through her makeshift pad and onto her school uniform. She was so brutally teased by her classmates that she went home and didn't return to school until the next week when her period was over. This is the reality that far too many young South African girls are faced with. Stellenbosch University Law Clinic estimates that up to 30% of schoolgirls miss school when menstruating. But we are here to say no more. Through extensive research, we identified some incredible organizations working in the sanitary dignity space, including Project Dignity and Sonke Gender Justice. These organizations are distributing reusable, environmentally friendly products while also educating both girls and boys about sanitary dignity. However, these organizations can't reach as many students as they would like, and this is where we come in. We are the Sanitary Dignity Alliance, a communication springboard to connect various stakeholders, including NGOs and vulnerable schools, in order to create more holistic, efficient, and coordinated efforts across the country.
We have begun contacting schools via email and telephone and collecting information through a survey which helps us identify schools in need based on the number of vulnerable students. We will essentially be creating a database of many schools across the country in order to establish a relationship with the school and better understand their needs. Then, NGOs will be contacted to make further arrangements for distribution and education day. So far, 3 NGOs in this space have given positive responses towards joining the Alliance. These NGOs will also be able to better coordinate joint efforts through the Alliance, making use of each other's educational materials and distribution networks. Records of schools visited will be maintained by our organization in order to provide feedback regarding impact and sustainability for the future. For example, when will a school need to be visited again? Such feedback will be useful to the schools, members of the Alliance, and funders. We expect our startup costs to be roughly 37,820 Rand. Thereafter, we expect our monthly costs to be roughly 23,000 Rand to sustain our operations.
Once a sufficiently large network has been established, the engagement with the organization will move to an online platform, most likely an app, which will have different interfaces depending on the class of user. Schools will be able to update the information on their own, and the app will automatically rank schools depending on predetermined criteria. NGOs will then be able to identify schools and use the app to communicate with both schools and other NGOs to organize educational and distributional days. An app also allows for advertising space, which will be used to generate income to sustain operations. By this stage, we are confident that the South African Bureau of Standards will have passed their standard on reusable sanitary products, which will then allow our members to access funds under the National Government Sanitary Dignity Programme, allowing them to help even more schools. Furthermore, the data produced by the app will be extremely valuable to the government as they roll out more comprehensive policies and hopefully increase interaction between the government and other stakeholders. Our organisation brings together all the players to work more efficiently and cooperatively in solving the sanitary dignity problem in our country. By only partnering with organisations that use reusable products, such as the reusable pads by Subs Pads, we will be minimising the effect on the environment. Through the introduction of our organisation, more students will be reached than before, thus having a social impact throughout numerous communities. As an NGO, our goal is not to make profit, but rather to eventually become self-sustaining in stage 2, which we believe is possible through advertising on our online platform. We will also be saving administration costs for NGOs, helping them to focus on their core activities and what they do best.
More than anything, we are passionate about keeping girls in school, and we need your help to do it. As an NGO, we can't offer you a share of our profits, but we can offer you a chance to change the world and to change our country. The ultimate measure of success would be for our organisation to eventually become redundant because girls globally enjoy sanitary dignity. Help us make this a reality. Thank you. We now welcome questions.
Well done. That's brilliant. It's literally you've gone and solved pretty much a lot of the problems I've been researching and doing for the past 2 years. You've pretty much solved 3/4 of the problem I'm having running the project that I'm running while I'm down. I've just got one question is how will this feedback take place, and then how would you monitor each student that it's being distributed to, if there is a way of that?
So initially, in consultation with the app developers, we know that the more functionality you have, the greater the cost. Therefore, initially, it would be, so we'll have 3 user interfaces. It would be the school, so someone in the school will be identified as the coordinator who has ability to use the app. It would be the NGOs working in the space, and then also our funders, because we know that's a lot that what corporates are hesitant on is to see their impact that they are actually having, that their money is having on this cause. So if we are able to provide them with metrics, they would then probably be more willing with going forward. And then beyond that, once we have more funding, we'd hope to provide a new interface where girls would be able to log on themselves and provide feedback such as, was the educational day helpful? Are they still using the product? Do they see it? Are they now attending school? Which has been something hard to tell. You couldn't previously be able to work out, are they in school because they are now using the product?
Well done.
So, making the assumption that there are other people who, might have come to considering this as, a pressing issue, how can you guys do it?
Yeah, thank you for the excellent question. That is one of the reasons why our costs are quite high. So the majority of our costs are actually to employ people full-time to be able to do this, and we wouldn't be running it ourselves. We see ourselves as rather the ambassadors rather than people actually implementing the plan.
And in terms of sort of, any connections or unique ability that you have, considering other people can also employ people to do things. Again, what makes you uniquely able to deliver on this?
Take it really similarly. You have an answer. Because if you do.
I think based on the connections we have already made with such as Project Dignity, Sonke Gender Justice, and Mimi Women, who have already shown positive reactions to joining, I don't see their need to want to join more than one alliance. I think if they see it as being effective, they wouldn't see the point in joining and having to deal with more communications with a separate organization that's having the same impact.
Can I just add something? Sorry. Again, at the end of the day, I think everyone in this room is here to solve the problem, or try and solve the problem of sanitary dignity. And while the 6 of us standing here might not uniquely offer a skill particular to this solution, it's a solution that we'd be happy to collaborate with others on, a solution that we'd be happy for more people to adopt. We wouldn't necessarily, the 6 of us, for us it's about solving the problem. And so what we think is, the idea is unique, and we're happy for anyone who has the correct skill set to take that forward.
Government would hire you as a service provider.
Can we have a contact number?
So in terms of the app itself, what type of research have you done on similar apps in the schooling industry? I know, for example, about D6, the communicator, that's already there. There's advertising space there already. Have you thought about other applications? And secondly, if you haven't, is there maybe a way that you can collaborate with D6 and use that as a tool to already build on what they have instead of creating a whole new app that's quite costly, etc.?
So no, we weren't aware of D6. We actually found it extremely difficult to try and find someone within the government to speak to get information out of as to what was currently available. So we weren't aware of that, and we would definitely be interested in collaborating and working with something that is already up and running, for sure.
And I think, sorry, just also to add to that, one of the amazing things that comes with if we take this project forward, if we do win tonight, is the consultation you get with Mazars, and those are all things that will be brought up that we can then address and take forward.
Yeah, I just wanted to, this app, it sounds amazing. There are a lot of apps out there already. There's also educational platforms and apps and all that kind of thing. But I think this space of sanitary dignity on an app, something like D6, I think all those fathers that would, because I mean, the schools, D6 is an app where if a school wants to tell the school something, they just put it out on the app and everyone in the school can see it. So it's like an information system. So yeah, I think that this app is quite great, and yeah, I just wanted to say well done. I think it's great.
Thank you so much. Firstly, I just want to say thank you to all the groups that have come up here to present. We all know that it's probably not the easiest thing to stand in front of a full room and actually have to speak out loud. So I just want to say thank you to all the groups and well done. At this point in time, I would like to give our judges some time just to deliberate, of which they will come back with a runner-up and a winner. Cool, and that will be about, just hold on. Good evening, everyone. If everyone could kindly start making their way back to the hall, please, we would like to resume. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I see a lot of tense faces in the room, but don't worry, everyone did well. I'm going to ask Mr. Joshua Chigome to come and announce the runner-up and the winner, and the highly commended. Yeah, cool. So he's going to come up now. Please give him a round of applause.
Well done to everyone who participated today. You guys really all did a great job. Well done. I wish I could hire you all to be a part of my government team. You could teach a hell of a lot of the officials in our department a thing or two, that's for sure. Don't quote me on that. But on a serious side, I can't remember the exact numbers of the groups, but you'll get the gist of it. So we just want to have a special mention for the group that I suppose would have come third, and that is the comic. It was really innovative. The fact that the fact that you identified a particular area, you went with it. Technically speaking, you'd be able to actually service every single sanitary company that's already distributing pads. Because obviously there needs to be education along with distribution at the end of the day, and that was your guys' niche. So well done. And second place was the application. The application was fantastic. I mean, technically speaking, it's far ahead. I reckon it possibly would have won if it was an entrepreneurship project, which looks at profitability and sustainability. Technically speaking, what you guys have done is actually had a lot of foresight in the fact that this service will inevitably be provided by government in the next 5 to 10 years, the same way that condoms are. And with your application, it would inevitably help coordinate all of those efforts at the end of the day. But in terms of entrepreneurship, sustainability, and taking into consideration where we are right now, the guys who showed us the bag with the My School, it's applicable, it makes sense. It's already tapping into an existing market and basically exploiting and making the most of something that exists already. And so with regards to the mandate that you guys have set up, it is more sustainable in the sense that it's profitable. It's genius that it's jumping onto something that already exists and creating an additional option for consumers. And we know that women empowerment is one of the catchiest things at this particular moment in time, especially with GBV. And so people are more likely and reluctant to actually contribute to women empowerment initiatives. So, well done. Well done to everyone.
Would the winning group please come up to the front of the stage, please? thank you. I'll just call Ali to also just come up to the stage, and Mr. Chigomi, if you would kindly join Stephen on stage for a picture. Just one. Well done to the winners. Cool, thank you so much. Super well done to the winning group. You can give them one round of applause, please. Thank you for joining us for this lovely, lovely evening. I'm sure everyone has thoroughly enjoyed. To all the groups that presented, thank you so much. And appreciate all the hard work that you have all put into preparing your presentations. And definitely don't kick yourselves too hard. Everyone was super amazing. In closing, I would like to invite the course convener, Annie Meadows, to just come and give us our closing remarks.
I must say, I just love the fact that we've been here tonight talking about menstruation and periods and tampons, and it's fantastic. And I'm sure you've all learned an enormous amount through the project. You know, it's funny when I get an idea, and I'll mention it to, I always test things out on one or two people. The person I think I first tested it out was on Tembi, and she was thinking, you know, it might be quite interesting as a project idea and so on. So then I spoke to her, I think, what do you think, darling? Anyway, then she sort of gathered momentum, and we realized that this was the thing that we were going to focus on this year. And I just want to thank all of you and all the students who aren't here tonight for doing such an incredible job. We've been reading projects, we've been reading things that have made me feel so proud to be associated with this course. So I just want to acknowledge all of the work that you've done. Those of you who know me will have come to see me at UCT because you've needed something. So I don't spend a lot of time really celebrating excellence, and that's what we've done tonight. Everything that we've seen this evening, I think, has demonstrated how hard you've worked and so on. And, you know, working in a group can be very challenging. So well done to all of you. I just want to also thank Mazars. You know, it's an incredibly important and trusting relationship that we have with you. And it goes back a long way. And, you know, so not just for hosting us tonight, all of you Mazarians in the back, Jonathan, you know, Jean, whoever's here, I can't see because I've got my readers on, which are the wrong glasses. But really, it's a hugely important thing, the way that Mazars have just always backed us and believed in the work that this course involves. So, you know, I mean, I think we talk about learning organizations, guys. Mazars is a learning organization, a fantastic example of that. So also to the 4050 team, you know, the teaching staff, the tutoring staff, Tembi, Robin, I mean, you know, you're an event manager. You're fantastic. You know, it's another year, and you guys, you know, 4050, running 4050 is like herding cats. It's a really, really challenging job. There are so many different aspects to it. But, you know, when we come together at Fox's Den, I just actually realized that everyone has learned so much through the year. And you know, one of the problems with the course is very often you only realize what you've learned years later. But I hope tonight, looking at each other, watching each other, you realize how much you've all learned. And so that's a wonderful thing. Thank you to the 4050 team for everything again. To those of you working in the trenches, you know, dealing with this issue, I just want to acknowledge
the kind of the courage and the enormous determination that you've shown in dealing with this. I think it's fantastic. You know, we're very lucky on the Hill. You know, it's a really, UCT is a very special place, but I think the work that you've done, the work that you are doing, I mean, we've partnered with subs. I mean, I had no idea we've taken on like another strategic partner in UCT, flown all the way down from Durban, but I mean, she's been a huge part of this whole project for months and months and months. So thank you so much, really, and I must acknowledge the most amazing work that you guys have done. So, in closing, I just want to remind you all that you've got, all of you, the most amazing brain power. You're creative. Just use it. You know, think about the problems that you can solve. So, you know, a lot of you are going to be doing GDAs, a lot of you are going to be going on to do other things. Find problems that you can solve. We took a problem that people knew nothing about, and we've come up with some extraordinary solutions. So I just want to finish off by saying, I hope that this exercise has taught you all that you really need to believe in yourselves and in the power that you all possess to do great things. So thank you very much for allowing me to be part of it all. Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Ali. And just before I officially end the night, Jonathan Watkins Baker would like to make not final announcement, give a vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. I promise you I'll be 10 seconds, so please no hurry up signs. I promise I'll be 10 seconds. I just want to say a few special thanks. Firstly to our panel of judges, Jean, Emma, Sue, Joshua, thank you very much for being here. I know your schedules are all crazy, running your own businesses, running government, running business sustainability, so thank you very much. Thank you to UCT, Ali and your team, Zakazi, Tembi. You know, it's always great conversations, great fun. We spent many hours discussing and debating, and it's been fantastic. Then to my Mazars consultants, thank you. You know, there were 70 projects this year, which means that's 70 consulting hours that we had to fit in with 3 weeks during their busy schedules. So thank you. Also 70 projects that we had to mark within about 4 or 5 days because of the public holiday. So a big thank you to them. And then lastly to you guys. Without your hard work, we wouldn't be standing here today. So thank you very much. All the best with your final exams. And yeah, you guys are the future. Thank you very much.
And just in closing, I'll just like to extend an appreciation gift to all our guest judges who are busy in conversation right now, but they will see them. Sorry, excuse me, guest judges. Thank you. That is a token of our appreciation to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I hand-selected those gifts myself, so hopefully you like my taste. But thank you so much for joining us. That brings us to the end of formal proceedings today. Please do help us indulge in some snacks behind at the bar area, free food, drinks, and beverages. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Much behind you, shall we? Hi, I'm Rowan, by the way. Rowan. Yeah, I'm one of the lecturers in the mix of things. You must just find a solution to problems. Or like find a I didn't have a specific topic now. Last year was on like recycling and this year was
what are you up to next year?